St. Paul, remembered 25th of January. St. Paul is one of the most unlikely saints in history. Originally called Saul of Tarsus, a tent maker by profession and a member of the Jewish religious group known as the Pharisees, Saul was initially one of the leading persecutors of Christians in the first years of the Church. He was present at the execution of the first Christian martyr, St. Stephen, where he held the coats to help the executioners. Saul was on his way to Damascus with warrants to arrest any Christians in the synagogue and bring them back in chains to Jerusalem. His journey was interrupted by a great light, in which Saul saw a vision of the risen Jesus, who asked him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" Saul was blinded by this encounter, and was left ill and suffering when they reached Damascus. In a dream he was directed to go and pray with a member of the Christian community. This man was, understandably, reluctant to meet with Saul, but was eventually persuaded to come when he received his own vision, telling him to go in faith to this persecutor. When they prayed together, something like scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. Saul died that day, and Paul was born, changing his name and filled with the same religious zeal, but a renewed faith and new purpose. Paul became a convert to Christianity and spent the rest of his life travelling to the cities of the Mediterranean to found churches and spread the good news of the gospel. His letters to the young churches, dealing with everyday problems and concerns, form an important part of the New Testament and have spoken into the lives of millions in the centuries since they were written. I cannot do justice to them here. It would be best to read them for yourself and hear St. Paul in his own words. With few exceptions, Paul would dictate his letters to a scribe, who would write as he spoke. His letters would then be read out in the Christian communities they were sent to, as they met together. To read these letters is to hear the voice of Paul speaking. St. Paul was eventually arrested, and, as a Roman citizen, exercised his right to be tried in Rome. His journey was eventful, including attacks, trials, preaching, and shipwrecks. His trust in God for his purpose in life remained unwavering. He was beheaded in Rome for his faith, amongst the many Christians killed by Nero as scapegoats for the Great Fire of Rome in 65 AD. St. Paul is remembered on the 25th of January.